Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to try this, okay? I'm really bad at this, but we're going to try. We're going to do the if you like this, you will like this video. I'm awful at this. I never find similarities with books. For some reason, I'm always like, oh, this reminds me a lot of this movie. This reminds me a lot of this TV show, but I never think about this book reminds me a lot of this book. Almost ever. But we're going to try, so bear with me. I have here 7 of these comparisons we're going to try. The first one is if you like Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe, and it's LitRPG elements basically, but with the profound character development, friendships, world, magic, whatever you want, you're going to really like the Cradle series by Will White. Basically because this inspired this, yeah, probably. But in this one we basically follow Lena, and he is basically branded as an Unsouled in his kind of community because he doesn't have the same affinity with the elements that the rest of the community has. So he's forbidden to learn another path of magic. But you know, Lena is really smart, so he's going to try to find his way out of that. The same as Corin here. Corin is also kind of a not really strong character, but he's a great supporting character. He will basically use his wits to help everybody, but not his strength because he's not a really strong person physically. Both of these are incredible. If you like any of these, you will like the other one. You're going to have to bear with me a little bit in this one. So if you really like the gang aspect in Jade City by Fonda Lee, you know, managing a mafia, basically a gang, you're probably going to also really like Priest of Bones. Yes, this is the Peaky Blinders book. I just wasn't going to say, yeah, if you like Peaky Blinders, you're going to like this book because yes. But if you really like, you know, being on top of a gang, managing everything, you're really going to like this. In this one, we basically follow Thomas, and he was sent to war, but now he's back, and he's basically determined to rebuild his gang, the Pious Man. He's going to really scratch that itch if you just want to read a book about gangs. What can I tell you? Mafias are such a cool thing to read about. But yeah, it's more in the gang side than the Mafia side. But if you like that aspect, you're really going to like this one also. So, time travel. I'm not a huge time travel fan, but these 2 books are fucking great. I'm pretty sure that you've been here a while. You know what 2 books I'm talking about? Probably. Oh my god. I got the hiccups. So strong. Apparently this is the week of the fucking Gone World because I just talked about this one on another video. But this is the Gone World by the Sweeterlich. Sweeterlich. That. I would say it wrong. I just can't help myself. But this is a great science fiction book, by the way. If you have read it, do it. But if you really like that, you know, jumping into the future and you just really like time travel and mystery in general, you're going to love The Light Brigade by Cameron Harley. This is more of a jumping forwards and backwards, and this is more like forwards, but both of these have like the same mystery feeling, mystery sci-fi thriller feeling to it that is fantastic, so you're going to really like it. In this one, we basically follow Deeds. She is basically a soldier that is going to be fighting against Mars. So the army has basically developed a new technology that allows them to deploy troops faster. So for that, they basically make them into light. And in the first deployment of Deeds, something goes really wrong. And I'm just going to leave it at that because this book is so fucking good, by the way. I don't talk enough about this one, but this is so good. I really need to read the Stars Are Legion because this one is amazing. So let's talk now about epic fantasy. If you just really like Mistborn or just like Brandon Sunder in general, mostly the magic system and characters, you know, and you also really like Robert Jordan and The Wheel of Time because, you know, it's convoluted like a story, you are going to really like the Licanus Trilogy by by James Islington. I almost say Scott Islington for some reason. This is the third book because I'm too lazy to grab the first one because it's in the back of the shelf because I have this facing forwards. So the first one is The Shadow of What Was Lost. And let me tell you something. I've given all the books in the series 5 stars because it's just so good. The third one I think is the least, it's not as good as the rest, but still it's such a great conclusion. There's a lot of time magic here also, so you know, it's super satisfying to see everything come into place. Like, oh damn. I thoroughly enjoy this series. It's extremely underhyped and underrated for how good it is. Because most of the fans of those series are just like, oh, it's not as good. It's just not as good. They're so similar. Like, if you enjoy those ones, you're really going to enjoy this. And it goes also in reversal. If you really like the Licanus trilogy, you should really try The Wheel of Time if you haven't. And also Mistborn. I'm not a huge fan of the first Mistborn book, by the way, but the second one is the best one, my favorite, so good. But yeah, extremely underrated. So basically in the first book, we start following up Davian. And in this world, magic is kind of forbidden unless you basically work for the empire. Well, for the king. For the country, whatever. So we start following Davian and you have to basically pass this test, and if you don't, you are basically stripped of all your magic. The thing is, Davian's magic hasn't manifested yet, so he is basically doomed to fail this test and be branded, and that shit is awful. Being stripped of your magic is actually awful. It makes you into a shadow and it's just basically a life of misery. Before the exam, Davian discovers that he is actually an ogre. That race basically used to rule before the whole magic is forbidden thing. So he is basically forced to flee, and he has a great magic that he basically can tell when people lie, when they get like dark smoke coming out of their lips basically, and it's just super cool. I really like this. We're also going to follow another character that wakes up in the middle of nowhere with no memory. So good, man. Also, the finales on all of these books are fucking great. James Islington is amazing at crafting endings. Like, so good. So if you really like Fables, the graphic novels, because of this whole creatures are a little bit fucked up in here, you know, magic is really meh, they are living in our society and such, you know, the war in the magic land and such, you're really going to enjoy The Last Mile in Sunder City by Edwards. The Last Mile in Sunder City by Luke Edwards. I almost said Edwards again. Arnold. By Luke Arnold. In this one, we are going to follow Fetch. He is a detective, and the thing is, in this world, magic has disappeared, and it has basically fucked up every single magical creature here. Badgers can no longer talk, vampires are getting super old, everyone is basically dying, and the thing is, one of these super well-known vampires is missing, and Fetch is going to try and find it. There are a lot of twists here. I really like this book. I really need to read the sequel. Damn it. I just really like it. It's a great urban fantasy series. It's not perfect. It has some flaws here and there, but it's still a super fun read. And it's actually darker than it looks like at first glance. It's just super cool. Highly recommend this one. You know, before the last one, now that we're talking about graphic novels, if you really like The Boys, because of this all really fucked up superhero shit, well, basically the superheroes are kind of the bad ones, you're going to adore Hench by Natalie Zina Walshot. Basically, you're going to love this. You're going to love this because they are so similar there. Hench is great. Hench is great. So in this one, we basically follow Anna, and she is a hench, meaning that she is kind of in between jobs for villains. She basically works for the temporary agency, and she is just like kind of not the sidekick, but you know, when you're watching a superhero film, all the bad guys that die before you get to the final bad one, those kind of guys. But she is basically an accountant. She's really good with numbers, she's really good at investigating, and one day she is working for this villain and she is asked to stay just right beside him for a good publicity stunt, and this hero, Collider, comes in and basically kind of kills everyone. And she's just like, why this fucking douche is getting in here? He doesn't give a fuck about any of us, about hurting us, because we were already defeated. So she basically starts digging up on the past of these heroes and discovering that they are actually the bad ones in this scenario. And she starts fucking with them, and it's just fucking great. This book is so good, man. This book is so good. So for the last one, if you really like the human interactions and the human aspect of Do You Dream of Terra-Two by Temio, but you also really like the what the fuck is going on of Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, you're going to really like Skyward In by Elijah Whitley, because it's such a perfect mixture of the two. Please, I need someone to read these 3 books and tell me that I'm right, because I might be losing my mind. So basically in this one we have this story about a kind of conqueror. Earth went into this planet and the Kitas surrendered. They were just like, okay, let's just be friends, you got us. Now we are set on Earth and we're going to follow these innkeepers, Jim and Isley. They have this special thing called the brew that, you know, makes you wonder, makes you more happy, makes you think about other times. It's just a great feeling, you know, you feel fulfilled. You feel fulfilled, basically. But you see, the thing is, peace in the inn, it's a little bit stir when a visitor from Kita comes in and just starts mixing things up a bit. I'm just going to leave it at that. This has like the most unexpected twist I've ever read in my fucking life. I was so impressed with the ending of this book. The beginning is really slow, just like Do You Dream of Terra-Two, basically. But the final act is just like Annihilation, but with answers. And it's just so weird. It's just so weird. There's a lot of philosophical talk here, but it's just so good, man. So good. So that was basically all. Was this too awful? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I just need to watch this edited. But as always, if you have any comparison, please just let me know down in the comments below. I will love that, because I'm awful at this. So I can just take advantage of you and do another video with your recommendations, basically. But as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.